Hey everybody, this is Jeff and Alex with Wave Strength Performance. This is going to be the first in a video series that we do for all of our clients to kind of reinforce some coaching cues and things you'll find really frequently either in the notes or in the cues for each drill. A lot of these show up in videos, but we just want to make sure that we have full understanding of exactly what we're trying to do and what we're trying to influence with some of these drills. And where we thought we'd start is with kind of the movement quality that we're trying to get in everything that we do. One thing that you'll see pop up a lot is the comment, make sure you find your foot contacts or maintain your foot contacts. And really what we're trying to do is control the environment around us. We're trying to control the environment at the ground to help influence the way force comes into our body and kind of moves things around a little bit, moves the hips, moves the spine. And that's really kind of the premise of the coaching cue, find your foot contacts. When I was a young coach getting involved in this field, one of the first things that I was taught was if you're working with an overhead athlete and you're trying to influence arm speed for a baseball pitcher or a volleyball hitter, is that we can really give them great core strength to try to drive velocity and motion through the extremities. This is almost the exact opposite of that, is that we're going to create great stability at the ground so that we can direct force into the body and start to create movement through my spine and my hips. And one of the best ways to kind of start finding our foot contacts is in what we call the hook lying position. And so what I'm going to do is get Alex down in hook lying position. This is just really traditional position that you might do sit-ups from. And we just kind of want to be heavy on our body here. But this is a position I like to use to help people start to find their foot contacts. And so what we'll say a lot is we want 4 points of contact. So what those 4 points are basically is your heel, the ball of your pinky toe, the ball of your big toe, and then your big toe lightly contacted to the ground. And I always like to start people from the outside in, which you'll see pretty clearly as Alex kind of finds his foot contact. So he's going to start on his lateral heel, and he'll almost start to kind of inward roll to start to find his inner heel, the ball of his big toe, and then his big toe lightly contacted to the ground. Once we can get people to find those points of contact, we start to get them to add a little bit of pressure into the ground just to feel what that feels like. But what it really does is gives us 4 points of contact at the feet, which is a really stable structure. And then because we have such stability at the foot, again, we can kind of guide motion into the body. And so this would be a great thing to practice if you have anything in hook lying or anything that we've cued, make sure you find your feet. This would be a great process to go through, and this will be something that we'll touch on again in subsequent videos. What I want to do is show you a few drills that are really common that we'll use to influence some motion. So we're going to get Alex up on his feet here, and the first thing he's going to do is show us a cable-assisted squat. Sometimes we do this with a TRX, sometimes we're leaning back against a rack. In this case, we're going to use a cable. But this would be a drill that we would use to really influence some hip motion. Maybe we're trying to get somebody's hips to move a little more freely. For athletes, maybe we're trying to get you to load your structures a little bit better and be a little more elastic. This is a simple drill, but it can be really effective in doing that. This is a great example of if Alex does not have his foot contacts as he descends into the squat, let's say he almost kind of falls back and you can see his big toes kind of come up off the ground, we're not going to drive the mobility up the chain. That's just his whole body kind of moving backwards in space. The opposite of that would be he does a great job paying attention to finding those 4 points of contact. He starts to let his body descend or kind of displace closer to the ground. He drives back up like we would on any squat, and we just move through that. And what we're going to do is, because we've controlled the environment at the ground, we're really starting to influence motion from the ground up. It doesn't feel like much, but it makes a huge, huge difference. We can take this exact same concept and we can start to talk about turns. We have many clients who, just based on the way they move and other influences, we may want to turn them both ways just to be able to create rotation like the way we all want to be able to do. Or maybe we're really trying to influence motion one way. We'll show you another drill. We're going to use a cable chop, a high-low cable chop here, to show you how we can do that. So we're going to set Alex up with a rope attachment. Okay. In this case, he's going to go stagger chop, and we're going to chop into his front foot. In this case, we're chopping into his left side. And if he really kind of emphasizes this, you can even kind of see that we're trying to turn him to the left. But again, if he doesn't do a good job controlling his environment at the ground, controlling his foot contacts, he might kind of pivot his feet. And again, this is just a full body turn. This is like a golfer who can't rotate, so the whole body just comes through impact. Whereas if we control the environment at the ground, we chop into that forward leg, and we can start to influence motion up the chain. Okay, so you've looked at a drill in square stance, and now we see one in a staggered position where we can start to influence a turn. The last one I want to show you is going to be out of a split stance. We're going to take a look at a split squat. And all a split stance is just a bigger turn. Okay, it just requires more movement of the hips, but the same principles apply. In this case, we can see that split stance position, we're not going to be able to find 4 points of contact at the trail foot. Okay, there's some different things we might look for there. But at the front foot, we want to use the exact same opportunity to find our foot contacts and start to drive or direct force up the chain. Okay, so same thing like we showed you with the bilateral squat. We're going to drop down, we're going to maintain our foot position throughout, we drive back up, and we just repeat that process. And again, these things don't seem that important on the surface, but with every single drill, and for some people more than others, we're really trying to influence the movement that we get with our strength gains and with our athleticism gains. And one of the easiest and kind of low-hanging fruit ways to do that is we can control the environment at the ground and direct forces into the body to get what we want. So again, this is kind of our first video in our coaching series where we're just going to reinforce some cues. We really appreciate everybody who's jumped on board with us thus far, and look forward to doing this with you guys more and more. Thanks.